This is how Mauritius began life. The Mascarene Plateau was formed by volcanic activity between 10 and 50 million years ago. This platform lies on the floor of the Indian Ocean, and Mauritius is one of the islands on this submarine plateau.
The landscape has been molded and formed by volcanic activity, aided by the forces of erosion. The mountain ranges, plateau, plains, coastal cliffs, waterfalls, and river valleys.
The Port Louis Mocha Range in the northern part of the mountain ring rises abruptly from the coastal plain and is dotted with jagged peaks.
A particularly spectacular one is Peterboth, with a peculiar perched rock right on its summit. It was once thought that when it fell, the British would leave Mauritius. The British have left, but Peterboth endures. Peterboth is at the left end of the mountain range in the background. Continue along the ridgeline, and you will come to the best-known mountain in Mauritius, Le Pouce.
The ring of mountains wraps itself around the southeast of the island in a long sweep which curves from west to east. From this range, ridges like the Montagne des Créoles run southeast towards the sea like ribs from a backbone. In this section of the ring, there is another easily recognized and aptly named mountain, as well as one which is well named but not so familiar to most of us. Behind Bamboo Mountain to the north are two isolated mountains, which are the remains of the ring in the east of the island. In the southwest, the ring becomes a complex of four main mountain ridges separated by deep valleys. It is in this part of the ring that we find the highest point of the island.
North of the Black River ranges, the ring has been broken by the forces of erosion into a series of spectacular individual mountains. Between Candace Hill in the foreground and Corps de Garde in the background, the gap in the ring caused by erosion is now occupied by the town of Quatre-Bornes.
Small volcanic cones with gentle slopes look like this when they are young, raw and newly formed. Cones like this ran across Mauritius on a southwest-northeast axis, and they still have clearly defined craters.
But today, after thousands and thousands of years of inactivity, two are filled with lakes supplied by rainwater or have swampy bottoms. Cones and craters are very like people in one way. They are all very different from one another, and no two are exactly alike. This one, Trou Kanaka, is much smaller, has less steep inside walls, and is shallower than Trou Cerf. Some even have no craters visible at all, as they have been filled with debris or eroded away. Inside the protecting ring of mountains lies the elevated central plateau of the island, with its sugarcane fields and urban areas. It is neither completely flat, nor is it all at the same height above sea level. The higher parts are the main rain catchment area for the island, and it is here that we find our biggest reservoir. On this upper plateau are a part of the remnants of the indigenous forests that used to cover the whole of Mauritius. From here, the land slopes downwards, north and east, to the lower levels. The slope is not uniform. In places it is steep, in others there are long, gentle inclines from the upper to the lower levels. The landscape down at this level is punctuated by occasional volcanic cones, rising above the general level of the plateau. The land undulates gently, and towards Mocha and Saint-Pierre, it is almost flat. Beyond the discontinuous ring of mountains which encircle the central plateau lie the coastal plains. They slope gently down to the sea, where offshore fringing reefs have limited the effects of coastal erosion. The coastal plains are not the same width everywhere on the island. They are at their widest in the north and east, and their regular rolling contours are disturbed by small volcanic cones, as well as by the rocky pilings of the sugar fields, which are such a striking feature of our man-made landscape. In the southwest, the coastline narrows appreciably until in places like Casse-Noyal, Rivière-Noire, and Tamarin, it is rarely more than 1 kilometer in width and abruptly adjoins the mountains of the ring, crowding onto the coast.
Our island was born of vast internal forces. Pressure from molten rocks in the mantle opened fissures in the crust, and when the molten rock reached the surface, it was at first below the sea. Slowly but surely, the island rose, and successive eruptions built up a shield volcano. Once it reached the surface of the sea, a constant battle then began between the volcano, striving to grow, and the sea seeking to destroy it. Eventually, the island reached a diameter of about 40 kilometers, and then abruptly, it stopped erupting. The weight of the mountain over the now virtually empty magma chamber caused it to collapse, forming a caldera. A recently formed caldera is an awesome smoking depression in the Earth's surface, which even when not volcanically active, pours out steam and noxious gases. Weathering and erosion have turned this fearsome presence into beautifully fluted mountains, which are the most erosion-resistant remains of the old caldera rim.
The formation of the main volcanic mountain, its collapse into a caldera, and the long erosion interval occupy the first 4.5 million years of Mauritius's existence. Then, just over 3 million years ago, the sleeping volcano awoke.
The floor of the caldera was riven by long fissures running northeast-southwest across the center of Mauritius, out of which poured the highly fluid mobile lavas of the younger volcanic series. Craters, visible today as various volcanic cones, like the ones on the map, added their contribution to the last great outpourings of lava in the geological history of the island.
The lava flows filled the floor of the caldera to form the central plateau, and then, following the lines of least resistance and the best slopes, spilled out through the gaps in the caldera rim to help form the coastal plains. As lava flows further from the vent, it cools, and a skin or cover is formed over the molten core, which continues to flow like a river, often deep underground.
A glimpse into hell can occasionally be seen through skylights in the roof of these lava tubes. Eventually, the lava may reach the sea, and inexorably, little by little, it adds to the size of the island.
From 5 main vents, the lavas flowed downslope out of the caldera to contribute to the building of the coastal plains in the north, south, east and west of the island. These lava plains are wide, flat and built of layers of lava flow, one on top of the other, like blankets laid on a bed. It is on these plains that extensive agriculture, and especially sugarcane, was established. In the north, the young lavas ran smoothly into the sea. However, in the south, they toppled over the older lavas to create a coastline dominated by steep cliffs. Eruptions did not all happen at once. The geological map shows the older lavas of the mountain ranges. The central plateau and the coastal plains were built by the later lavas of the younger volcanic series. It was to a much eroded legacy of this cataclysmic geological history that man came when he first settled this island millions of years later.